Jay on my bike, everyone. Whether you've been here since Ali King or are an OG from my original JSR Fan Games video way back whenever, I'd like to say thank you to you all. Welcome to the end of the channel. I'm going to wrap this up by doing an overview of everything from the channel's conception till now. Trying my best to remember as much as I can for those who actually care about all that behind the scenes stuff. This is going to be a long, in-depth review, retrospective, whatever, over the channel's entirety, going into as many stories, tangents, and whatnots in as little time as possible, but you know me. Alright, where to start? This channel was actually created because of a contest. Me and my friends at school decided to make YouTube channels to see who would get the most subscribers in a year. We hadn't decided what the prize would be or anything like that. We just randomly made channels and madness ensued. On January 25th, 2015, holy crap, oh, whoa, as of this recording, which is the 23rd, almost exactly 8 years ago. Oh man. I created Brainless Bob Productions, based off of a fake comic book label I had made at the time. But that's a story for another day. Anyways, I decided on becoming a gameplay channel and released my first ever video, which was me attempting the Coliseum in Devil May Cry 4 for the first time. To cut it short, it was garbage. I remember making the thumbnail in Microsoft Paint along with my channel logo and everything else. And despite how poor it was, I wish I kept it, because it was the first video I'd ever made ever, as well as the others. Yeah, tons were deleted out of embarrassment or whatever, but anyways, the contest, it had continued for however long. I was in like 4th place, I think, and I released other videos that I actually saved, like my first ever official Adam Sushi video, as well as some other stuff. Now, Adam Sushi's story starts back in 2016. I got transferred to a new school and had to make a bunch of new friends, but ended up making it work. One day, a random lunch conversation would lead to the phrase, Hatama Sushi, and I would then begin rebranding the entire channel. Although it was still gameplay focused at that time, as you can see by the banners and whatnot, Adam Sushi was officially born on January 10th, 2016. 13 days ago. Yeah, that's crazy. I made tons of plans for videos that I do, but I'm not sure I actually put out many besides like my first. Sometime later, I would randomly remember Hideki Naganuma's Fly Like a Butterfly and decide to look it up. The song was even more amazing than I remembered. The flow was trippy, the energy was uncontainable, nearly uncontainable, and the aura was so unique that I'd never heard anything like it. I stayed up all night listening to it. That's a core memory. I'll never forget that. And for the rest of the week, I listened to the entire soundtrack. And from there, I was smitten. I wanted to know everything and anything about JSRF, as well as its genius composer. That led me to learning about the original Sega Revival survey from my now deleted video from 2016. Remember that? Buying JSRF for Christmas that year, and most importantly, JSRL. Jet Set Radio Live would bring me the push I really needed to take YouTube seriously, as well as introduce me to dozens of people down the line who would help me on my journey, like Bye Bye Blue, for example, Dark Drons, all kinds of people. He was the one who made the original JSR mini-mix that I played for my oldest video on the channel, which it's only the oldest video because of all the deleted content. Now, from here, the story does get a little fuzzy. I'll be perfectly frank. Even now, to this day, I can barely remember much of anything. Like videos I made practically yesterday, I can't tell you the design process behind them as in-depth. I wish I kind of took more notes on that, which I even told myself I would do, but it's like I was basically juggling 50 things at once. I'm glad the video still had the quality I wanted them to have, but it was kind of more like there was planning behind it, but it was also mindless because I had to take into account a bunch of other like real life stuff that was going on. I was going into a job when I finished part 2 at JSRF Theory. I was going into a job, and that obviously practicing for that, doing the physicals, all that crap, as well as managing that and the stress, and which I'll get into fully when I get down to that video. But yeah, man, if I can barely remember that stuff now, stuff from the past, it's definitely gonna get jumbled. But I do remember that my buddy Jacob, right? He was in first place in the YT contest, and he had taken up a bunch of like YouTube poops. This was early on. Like, this was before the Shrekkening came out, you know, the big Lemon collab. Also, before Lemon's official retirement, he was still making videos a little bit at the time. It was before his, what is it, like YouTube geographic videos he does now, which does whatever. Cool Cat, I don't know if he was making videos at that time, or if I just didn't know about him, but... And something else, it was also before Pi Pivot Montier's passing. I do remember that. That was just a really big thing that everyone in the community was talking about, and it's still to this day is absolutely sad. Kid was like stupid young, and anyway, this was the beginning of the last great age of YouTube poops. What I'm trying to say, very very early on, and you know, Jacob met this guy who I think it was Alpaca Hawk. I can't remember. I don't want to like. Yeah, it was some big Star Wars dude for sure. That's all I remember. And he met this guy, right? And the guy got him into editing and really professional like edits and stuff like that. And about a week later, Jacob got me Vegas Pro 14. He won a YouTube poop raffle for a video he had made. I don't even remember which one it was, honestly. He showed me all of them. I just can't remember. But he won that raffle, and I still actually own the first ever video that I ever made in Vegas Pro. It was a happily ludicrous edit of Jacob in a car. I still have it, actually. I remember staying up till 2 a.m. on a school night to finish it, but the look on everyone's faces was like so worth it. Oh man, I don't remember how exhausted I was, but I will never forget just showing him the video. He almost got his phone taken away. He would not stop laughing. The teacher told him, she was the nice one, told him like 50 times to put it away. He just could not stop like laughing at it. Totally worth it. And that's how I got into this whole whimsical nightmare that is editing. One thing I do remember for certain is that I made the mini mix video long before that. Okay, here we go. Now I'm gonna try to get back on track, which for this, what I'm kind of doing, just kind of bring you right in here. I'm pretty much watching my videos in real time and then reacting while trying to like kind of get back in the feel of it, while also just putting in as many comments about what I was doing at that time that I can personally remember. So, all right, but yeah, here we go. Yeah, okay, I remember this. The quality. I remember I had to go through a whole heap of the absolute worst till I got the Vegas Pro, and that's why videos like Mini Mix, they certainly don't hold up nearly as well visually. Man, I haven't seen this in years, my god. Yeah, man. I almost forgot that Lightworks is what I had used before Vegas. I actually remember my first ever Lightworks video. I was putting out. I just bought Shanty. I'm done doing it. Shanty Half Genie Hero. It was a great game, and I was gonna put out a gameplay video for it, and I remember I had some footage and I was playing around with it and all the 3D functions and Lightworks, and I put out that test video, but I took it down. That was I kind of regret it, but it's like, in the grand scheme, had that been the one video I deleted, I wouldn't have cried over it. It's like, sorry, try to stay on track here. I really, man, just seeing the Lightworks logo, I completely forgot about that, because it was like so similar to Adobe Premiere. Well, now that I've actually messed with Premiere, right, Premiere Pro, they're very, very similar, almost like a knockoff, and it had a lot of power, but kid me couldn't figure all that out. It was way too complex and didn't make a lot of sense. And I remember that was the real reason I stepped away from it, and I think at the time there weren't a lot of tutorials either. Which, yeah, that definitely was not helping. And since Lightworks is what I used here, that means that, okay, Jake definitely didn't win the raffle till much later, which, I'm trying to think, he won that when I was still back at my old school, before I transferred to the new one. So I don't remember what year that was. I don't know. It might have been 2017. I'll figure it out. It's like, oh, man. Anyway. The screen recorder for this video was absolutely awful. I can't remember for the life of me which recorder I used for this. I assume it was Bandicam, but I'm not sure since I had a lot of freeware recording programs from the look of it. Oh, and that wallpaper of the old AS logo is absolutely adorable. Oh my gosh. I still have that logo, but I don't have that wallpaper. I love that I made it and I threw that up, which I actually just did the same thing again. Funnily enough, I just made a company logo for something I've been trying to do here. Because I'm trying to think of like my down the line future career, and I made a fun little company logo because I just have been practicing with Affinity Designer, which you guys have seen in a lot of my recent videos, probably this one too. But man, I actually have that thrown up as my wallpaper right now for my PC, my new PC that I bought. Which, yeah, I got a brand new PC. I wonder if I made this on. I already forgot if I did. I can't. Did I make part 2 on this? Did I make JSRF part 2 on this PC? I'm not sure. But either way, it runs like a dream. I absolutely love it. All my programs just like sifted over so well. It's absolutely gorgeous. Small little Dell laptop. But heck yeah, it totally kicks. I got it on a nice little Black Friday sale, and it's just absolute godsend. But I like the little parallels. I'm still doing stuff like that, but I just can't get over the giddiness. Like, it's such a juvenile look back. Just this raw little. I'm still on this, by the way. I'm still on the actual like desktop screen. We haven't even started the game yet. So I was apparently still using Paint.net back then, and compared to my old MS Paint, program, obviously everyone had that, it was like gold to glass. And this video would have been, it would have been made on my old Acer laptop, I think. Yeah, it was certainly not my first Dell laptop. I don't think it was. It couldn't have been. Which I still have though. Yeah, even though I got this new one, I still have it. Even though the screen no longer works, it's, it literally was there for the entirety of the channel's career. It's a big part of me. I got, nice little memento. But after that, though, there's a AVS video editor, which I remembered, like, as a kid, little kid me, I was blown away, man. It was awesome. That was the real first editor, because I think I went from Windows Movie Maker to AVS to Lightworks. So AVS was like bigger transitions and tracks, and you could actually like pull stuff back and edit and shorten clips. Like, little kid me was absolutely flabbergasted, man. Just whoa. Eyes wide open, stars in my eyes, everything. It was like the coolest thing ever. But I remembered, I didn't use it long because it had that stupid watermark thrown in, and I remember making a video, and my master plan was I was going to, because I knew the logo happened every like 5 minutes. So what I would do is I would have a blank space for that 1 minute, export the whole thing, and then what I would do is I would put it into Windows Movie Maker, then cut out that section, and that's how I did it. And I'm like, wow, that's so tedious. Gosh, man, but hey, modern problems require modern solutions. Yeah, man, AVS was cool, but I'm glad someone recommended Lightworks to me, even though I didn't use it much. It was still better and free and no watermark. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got so lost on a huge tangent there. I'm kind of just, like I said, talking, so, but hopefully not as bad. I'm trying to keep this very tapered. I'm really trying here. It's just, I haven't really thought about this stuff in years, so I'm just awakening core memories in my head right now. But anyway, the video, into the video itself. Okay, alright, not bad. Okay, so despite the quality, the video itself actually holds up pretty well, surprisingly. The little, let's go in the beginning, like, even though there's no vocals, I was still figuring out my mic situation, which literally it took me 7 years to resolve. Yeah, literally just last year I found a definitive answer. I mean, also, I completely forgot how much I used the word kecker back then. It was another one of those words I made up, like jail on my bike, except jail on my bike is actually from a friend of mine. I thought kecker sounded really dope at the time, but it sadly fell out of my vocabulary. It's weird how far away 2017 seems. Like, in the video, I mentioned a hypothetical JSRF remake that would use, like, the Joy-Cons of the Switch, with the spray graffiti. Apparently I was really dead set on there being some sort of remake on the Switch, man, which obviously did not happen. Nothing. Not even JSR Evo. But, so apparently it was Lightworks, and it, quote, didn't believe in crossfading. Alright, yeah. So apparently I just had to do a hard cut to the next part. Love it, yeah. Ooh, okay. Okay, dang. I also spoke on some lost JSRL history in here if you want to find out what jump on there. The video ends and I tell everyone to try and beat my time, which one man actually took up the challenge, as well as that I'm adding mini mix to the list. Whatever that is. Ooh, the list. Hold on, the list. I remember that. I think that was for the original Jet Set Radio fan games video. That video would be the main attraction for my channel, since at the time Hover was still in beta and there were dozens of fan games in development. Like really, a lots. So many of which I'm actually, surprised how many didn't actually come to fruition. There were so many. You think one of, yeah. But in fact, I believe this video started from me being randomly contacted by some really weird, out there guy, a very strange person, which at first he randomly sent me a song called Plumber Number 1, and I thought nothing of it, I didn't think it was bad. It was just I don't know. He sent it to me, it sounded cool, and I remember replying, I don't know who you are, but thanks. Yeah, man, it was just so random, absolutely random. And he actually contacted me again months later with footage of a new game. And this game was not on YouTube in any capacity, and one day it would go on to be known as Butterflies. I felt super special, super cool, because really this was ground floor stuff. I'm like, wow, I felt so honored that someone would show that to me. I remember another guy had actually requested a video. Just every now and then people would hit me up with random stuff. I got a request about how I felt about the World Ends With You soundtrack, which I never played the game or even listened to it. I listened to like 3 tracks and I was like, I'm not really feeling it. And I got messages from lots of cool people in the community at that time, which is so sad because there isn't a message system anymore. You can't DM creators anymore, which I feel like also you can't even do that little thing where you could like post on their whatever. I can't remember. No one ever used that, so I get it. But as for the DMs, that was such a cool little part of history that we no longer have as YouTube creators. If you want to hit us up, you have to just email us. It's just not really as sexy or as fun, in my opinion. I don't know. The surprise of just having an email sitting right in your folder, like right to you, I don't know. But anyway, the guy who sent me all this stuff, his name was High Razor, and we would end up talking for a good minute, and that whole conversation would lead to a whatever ship that would transcend the entirety of the channel, and would lead to a whole bunch of mishaps in the background, but that's a story for another time. Anyways, I found out about the ex-Netrium Batteries developer Le Capitaine and his Patreon page, so I decided to add him to the video as well, the list. Its development took long, but I think it was simply due to the lack of games. I remember, man, the video was probably in development a very, very long time. Me probably just juggling stuff, not really being sure what to do, but I remember the quality being whatever when I put the whole thing out, so guess it wasn't that. I released multiple Jet Set Radio Groove extensions in the meantime. I stole them all from Loginator 999's from his little ringtone compilation he did, which it's crazy that he's still gone, man. I remember waiting those 2 years, wondering what happened, and then him just dropping that "It's Over" video he had. That was such a sad time for me as a kid. He really was the guy that got me into mashups for real. If not him, then definitely Crystal Force. But sorry, getting off track. Actually, hold on. Let me stay on that for a second. I love how I deleted multiple awesome big videos on the channel, but God forbid I delete the JSR extensions. Anyways, I remember that I was probably days out from releasing the JSR fan games video when suddenly I saw a video on my feed called Project Inline. I'll never forget this, really. I think I don't know, I might be flubbing right here. I was maybe in the midst of watching it privately to make sure everything was still working or something. I don't know what. But I will never forget. It was literally just there, randomly. No views, nothing at all, just sitting there in the little sidebar. But the thumbnail looked boss. I was absolutely blown away. I'm like, Project in Line, what's this? And wow, man, it was just like, what awesome timing. I was like, yo, I ran right down to the video. I dropped a comment for the creator, Dark Drons, who at the time I didn't know from Adam. I was like, hey, yo, dude, I gotta put this in the game, man. It's cool if I throw this in my video right here. He's like, oh, heck yeah, man, go for it. And I threw it in there. I had to, which I might have taken it down to re-upload with this thing in it. Yeah, but I did all that, and I'm like, wow, that was such an awesome set of circumstances, because that's how I met him, and then I talked to him a bit more. That's how I got into the Discord server, and the rest is honestly history, man. Like, yeah, it's just crazy how, like, me doing this led me to so many figures in my life. That video went up about early June that same year. I remember just around that time, I think, because that was around the time False Proof had made his little mini mix video, so it had to have been that year for sure. Okay. Well, I wish you guys could see it. It would sadly be deleted after I made the remake in 2019, and now in its place is the Every Hideki Groove Ever video, which actually has a Siva Gunner rip in there. Since I didn't know, I got back into JSRF, but I hadn't gotten back into like the Sonic Rush OST yet, and I didn't know it that well at the time. I just remembered that there were a bunch of different grooves in there. I couldn't remember what any of them really sounded like. I was kind of just getting lost in the nostalgia, and most likely the grooves led me to listening to the whole soundtrack again, for sure. But it was funny, a guy left a comment like, hey yo, and I didn't know a lot about Siva Gunna then, so I didn't know what they were about. It wasn't until it took me a long time to figure out what the heck that channel was even about, man, but oh well, just a little part of them is now connected with my channel and blah blah blah. Fun thing about this video, watching it though, like sitting on it for a second, the scrolling, the overlays, everything, I think this was my first ever Adam Sushi video in Vegas, and I love that little joke at the end about there being no hover grooves. Speaking of hover, next we have the AMV, neverforever.amv. It took quite some time. I remember pulling an all-nighter on that day, on the day I finished it, and I absolutely loathed Never Forever because of it. Like, I was never really a huge fan of the Hideki tracks in Hover. In fact, I remember I was actually grounded the week that Hideki released those tracks, because of course I was, and I streamed them in my closet. They were the first tracks he had made for a game since like War of Brains, you know, shoot, my bad. Feel the Power in Your Soul, yeah. Since I had started like officially knowing who he was and following him on SoundCloud, that was the first. Hover was the first original like song, album, project, whatever he had put out since then. So this was the first real OST I was present for, besides Sonic Rush, but I didn't know that was him. Also, I was a kid. Yeah, I really was anticipating them. Like, oh my gosh, like I knew what to expect. I knew it was gonna be quality. I couldn't wait. I mean, I really could not wait. So when those tracks just popped in, I saw the thumbnails. I'm like, oh yeah, I was really into them at first. I really dug them for a second, but as I listened to them more and more, something just felt off, man. Besides the fact that there were only 2 tracks, which Kid Me was baffled to no end because of that. There was a lot I didn't like about the contributions. Like, long story short, they were long, repetitive, and overall cliche sounds that I personally didn't feel meshed well at all. It's like he procrastinated on the entire assignment and just threw some crap together. Like, the songs, they sound passionless, personally. I mean, and another big thing is everyone was obviously looking forward to those tracks, but it's just so jarring when you have an entire soundtrack composed by Cedric Menendez over here, and then you have Hideki's tracks here, and they're just so far from the style. Like, he didn't really try to mesh in with what Cedric was doing. I feel like if he sets a lead like that, it's different when it was Sonic Rush or JSRF. He obviously was like the musical head, so that made sense. He was kind of pushing his own path there. But when Cedric lays down the ground floor and then like it's all brown and then you come in here with some like redwood panel, it doesn't mesh. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm not saying he should have sacrificed his sound or style, but I feel like what he did was so far off. It's just so night and day that it overshadows Cedric's contributions in a way that I don't like. I feel like a lot of the songs he put down were really, really good, and I love the atmosphere they set for Hover. I just really wish that Hideki did a better job of having his song stay cohesive with the overall project. Cohesion is a very big thing when it comes to immersion, and for that, just these giant bombastic tracks that just kind of slap in your face, yeah, they sound good, but in the grand scheme, they are off. They are off, and to this day, I'm not really the biggest fan of them. I got them memorized, of course I do, but definitely one of Hideki's lower points musically, in my opinion. I could have a whole video about Hideki's discography. I probably should have, honestly, but time wasn't really on my side in that regard, so I will just leave it at that. Back to the video. I got it out after the release trailer dropped, and I wrote a very jaded and negative description for this. I absolutely love how I just completely gave up at the end and zoomed in on some concept art. It was just, wow. You could tell how burnt out I was just by how big the intro was and how lame the outro gets. People liked it though. I feel like people kind of liked it, so it was worth it. Still a lot of nice comments on there. But upon rewatch though, my opinions haven't really changed. I mean, it's cute in a nostalgic sense, but the lack of quality is quite apparent, and it leaves me very unsatisfied. I don't regret making it, but it's like, not a lot of enjoyment out of coming back to this one. After that, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to focus on something other than video creation, so I then decided to learn Blender. That's right, in 2017, I was putting in work for my dream game, The Legend of Jinx. I had never used Blender before, but I still managed to get pretty far. I decided to make my 30th video ever as the first actual update for the game. After a month of tutorials, setbacks, and an impromptu family vacation, I finished the mesh for Chaos Queen, or at least the hilt. Watching the video after all these years, it's hilarious how much I yada video game design, just showing how little I actually knew or did of it. I mean, I thought it was gonna be so easy. First, I'll make a scythe, then tomorrow a dude, then the day after that I'll program, and then music, then done. I was so ignorant. Like, I'm not even using Unreal Engine anymore, but God, was that not like my dream engine as a kid? Like, I don't know what drove me to say that one specifically, but I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make it on Unreal Engine, woo! But now, hindsight 2020, I now realize how difficult that actually would have been for a beginner. Also, this video would start the trend of, I'll explain why I was gone in the next video. Oh yeah, that little curse that would haunt the channel to the end of its days. It also introduced the outro that I would use for the rest of the channel's entirety. I remember I used to say arrivederci, but now I just say thanks for watching this Adam Sushi broadcast and stay tuned. I was so hopeful and cheery for the future of LOJ. I miss that youthful and positive side of myself. But oh well, I mean, no negative. I realize now, as an adult, I feel weird saying that. I'm gonna say as a grown man. As a grown man, an aged dude. Oh man. As a dude who's matured in time, I realize now that would have been a very poor decision for my first ever game. Because over these 8 years, I've still actually been writing for LOJ. That's no lie. And the scope has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. To where it's like, there's no way, kid me. Even putting in 8 years, I would have been wasting my time. Because I would not have been able to put out that game. There's no way. Like, there's no way I would have been able to. For that to be my first game would be absolutely insane. It was just too big of a project, and I didn't even realize the scope of it at the time. I would have probably, knowing me, I would have probably gone in there, been like, alright guys, what do I do? Tried some tutorials, they wouldn't have worked. I would have thrown a huge fit and then said, forget it, man. I'm never doing games again, man. But now I'm older, I've seen lots of other YouTubers, I know what to expect. I've seen where they failed, you know what I mean? I can kind of learn from their mistakes, and I know that to really get into game design, I have to think smarter, not harder, and just instead have my first few projects be smaller games, simpler tasks that allow me to better understand game design, you know, I still want to have goals, obviously big set projects, or big air quotes, you know, projects and goals I can hit, and I have initiatives and whatnot. But then I learn by doing small games, gain a little bit of funding from putting those out, until eventually I can get more funding, more talent, get more talent, more mastery of the programs, and with that, eventually form a team, and then one day make that game. It'll probably be one of the last games I ever make, because it's going to take quite a lot of funding, quite a lot of technical power. Like it's got everything, man. Like from gameplay, level design, cinematics is going to be a really big thing in there. It's a story I've been wanting to tell almost my entire life, so it's going to take a village to put it out. And if I ever do one day put that out, hopefully some of y'all will be there to play it, man. Who knows? But getting back to Adam Sushi, which, man, spoiler alert, I kind of ran through some of these videos already, so I kind of have a general idea of what the future holds. And let's just say it's probably better that I talked about LOJ now, because you ain't gonna be hearing about much of it in the future. Yeah, I'll explain all that later. Anyway, time went on, right? Okay, let's get back to it. So, as time went on, I eventually broke 666 total views on the channel before I made my first ever Adam Sushi tale. If you guys are new to the channel, I used to make long podcast-like videos detailing what had been happening with me as well as future plans for the channel. I remember them taking forever to render, always having that same Cosmic Eternity remix in the background by Blue Rhythms. That was such a cool era of the channel. I felt like the most, like, artistic or something. I don't know, like... Ooh, also, I want to shout out my first ever true subscriber, now called Crisis Core. They were once known as Jarek Williams. Every video I made, they'd always post sweet comments and just stay in touch. I hate the word fanboy, but it was nice to have someone who genuinely enjoyed my content. I miss them a lot. It's crazy how much has changed, like who's still here and who isn't. Neither Jarek or Dron's comment anymore, and I no longer do Adam Sushi Tales or LOJ updates. Also, apparently the JSR groove extensions were because I was grounded. I believe it. Man, if y'all want lore, if you guys really want some lore, like a behind the channel, you need to watch these tales. Like, they're doing me personal wonders. Like, oh man, I gotta love how my sisters are running around during the recording, something that still hasn't changed to this day. They were way younger than, man. But yeah, dude, like I don't even have to really explain what the video is about, because just watching it, you know exactly what happened. I'm getting caught up. Shoot, stuff I don't even remember. I seem to reference some guy named Fax from a video no longer up. Oh, also, I love how around this time I attempted to lean away from JSR content, but you all know how that went. Weirdly enough, I would end up posting 2 videos per day for a little bit, but it obviously didn't last long. And speaking of didn't last long, my little end of JSR content was uprooted by the first Underground Gaming episode. In retrospect, I never would have been able to maintain a series like that. I didn't have capturing technology, and I was trash at reviewing or really sparking interest in the games I discussed. I will say this though, I was so freaking funny in my older videos, like purely out of how self-aware I was that my jokes or takes were just bad. Like, I love how adorable I was, making requests to the team, like, please don't mess up these designs, like, bro. Also, why does the mic quality get continually worse as the video progresses? I keep doubling down on the whole end of JSR videos thing, and wouldn't you know it, Adam Sushi Tale would roll around, and at this time, on July 7, 2017, I announced that I'd be leaving the channel due to a lack of interest from my viewers. Oh my, okay. So apparently no one was entertained, so why continue? That does sound like me. I wish I could tell my younger me that it gets better and to treasure to really treasure what you've made. But of course, in my short little depression, I would end up deleting dozens of videos due to feelings of inadequacy. And at the time, it really felt like the end, the true end, that I never thought would, well, the end that wouldn't allow us to be here, I guess. I barely had any subscribers, the contest had been long over, and I'd actually gotten my first ever dislike, which, in retrospect, should have been a milestone since it meant I got enough traffic to warrant an unhappy customer. Back to the tale though. It's so weird how the channel repeated itself. I announced it would end, and there'd be a certain amount of videos left before I would, eventually extend its runtime. And then I decided again to end it right now, like for real this time, with another countdown of videos with some cancellations thrown in, only this time I'm seriously wrapping it up. By the way, I wasn't the only YouTuber around this time who was trying to distance themselves from their JSR roots. I remember Alexa Cat rebranded herself a bunch of times because of that. In fact, that's not even her name anymore. In retrospect though, it was very silly of me personally to turn away the people who gave me my start, and luckily I learned my lesson in the long run. Despite the sad time, I bounced back and continued making videos. I'm pretty sure I got my second win when False Proof's little mini mix video came out, which was like 5 days later. It was amazing seeing a YouTuber I looked up to giving me a shout out, as well as being influenced by something I made. It was, like, for a little kid like me, awe-inspiring. Not only that, but I was contacted by the DJ Professor K. He got word of me from somewhere, and he really liked my bumps. And he had asked if I wanted to join his hardy crew and make bumps for the new Jetsa Radio Live YouTube channel. Of course I agreed, and the videos are actually still up there. Oh man, I remember just writing up all these crazy ideas for them all in class. Ooh, and something I do remember is that for a time, the JSRL YouTube channel was actually dead due to some copyright strikes, which is crazy because it wasn't even monetized. I realize now that didn't really matter, but anyways, it was just so fun being announced into JSRL, into the chat as like a guest of honor, and even going on to collaborate with some of the biggest heads in the community at the time. In fact, this guy, his name was Caps Lock, he was super nice, by the way. He emailed me about making some definitive bumps for all the channels on JSRL TV. Everyone on the site was going to see him. He found out about me through the new JSRL channel. I think he liked my little bump I did with, my bump, Tan.bump, or Tan, whatever. I think, oh man, it was that art made by Drywall Thief, I remember. He said that was pretty cool when he hit me up. So after that, I mean, we talked for a little bit, and we actually, I remember, we managed to finish a bump for the Love Shockers before the project sadly immediately fizzled out into obscurity. It was literally, it was on the weekend of July 14th to the 16th, 2017, and I remember that weekend. I was practicing for my driver's license while also taking care of the bump stuff, so probably my most productive weekend out of my whole life, real talk. After that, I guess life got in the way for both of us. He never really hit me up again after that. We just always assumed one day we'd link back up and finish it, but oh well, I guess it was meant to be. Since then, though, I've heavily drifted away from JSRL for multiple reasons, and it's kind of fallen apart. That's a story for another time. Whole documentary on that. But enough of that. False Proof had made a video of what he wanted to see in JSR 3. Yeah, there it is. So I decided to do the same. If y'all had seen my What I Want to See in BRC video, then you know that a lot of that has actually come to fruition. However, there were some awesome ideas I had that I still haven't seen in BRC, such as being able to choose which gang you want to join, and online multiplayer, all that, and hey man, look, the game's not out yet, and a whole lot of things have changed from the initial reveal, so alright, the chances are they're slim, but they're not as slim, you know what I'm saying? Anything is possible. Plus, Dion is still known for just doing stuff, just throwing in things, removing on the spot, so anything could really happen. Anyways, I brought up the BRC vid because the JSR video, that was released back when I had like 30 subscribers and I was still a little nobody, but it was just kind of cool that I could call that back into a newer video about an actual JSR successor, man. It's honestly crazy to see how many people have joined up and just how much progress I've actually made since then. But going back to the past though, I was still making bumps and still putting out JSR content. I must have still been trying to distance myself from that, since I ended up finishing Underground Gaming Episode 2, the last episode, and for good reason. I think the third episode was supposed to be Butterflies, but that's all history now. Anyways, what makes this episode so poor was that to this day, I don't play fighting games, and I was very ignorant to the culture of the game I was looking at. Ignoring that, it's actually not that bad in retrospect, and I think this was my first ever scripted video. I probably wanted to be really professional for this, in case the developer saw it, which, hold on. It certainly sounds like it, and it's just, it's just like me to go a step above for something like this, Also, the video can't be that bad, or it couldn't have been, if, the Matthew 2 Hopkins liked it enough to leave a comment. I was pretty much in love with that guy after I found him from Project Beat, which, does anyone even remember that failure? Absolute bomb of a fan game. I remember False Proof did a video on it, which I don't even know if that's still up or not. It was so long ago, probably. Anyways, I even got to interview him for a high school assignment, and I actually still have all of his answers. Back when I was on Reddit, that was a long time ago. That account dead and burned, and that was before I even realized how much of a cesspool it actually was. Now I have a Twitter account. Nah. So, on to the next video. I had my 40 subscriber special, which was pretty lackluster due to, I believe, me working on another special video. It was around this time I realized I was making too many videos for specials. It would end up being one of my last though, if not technically my last, since my next two specials were super late. But that would all happen on my second year of Adam Sushi. That's right. By this time, it had been a whole year since Brand the Spot Productions had become Adam Sushi, and man, do I like this video. Honestly, there's no real need to review it, since it details the development to a T and is a nice little time capsule of my summer in 2017. It also has my favorite joke out of the entire channel's career. I used to be a loser in front of a camera, now I'm a loser in front of a mic. God, I was... Oh my goodness. Okay, so like I said, I'm kind of editing this in real time, so... Oh my gosh, man. I was laughing way harder than I should have at this. That really just caught me so off guard. Like, man, this is the beauty of perspective and retrospective. And being able to look back at your past. I'm really glad I didn't delete everything like I planned, but I'm really heartbroken that I deleted that Q&A I referenced. I do remember making that my first ever actual Q&A, which, well, had I not deleted it, would have been the only Q&A on the channel. Spoiler alert for those who saw my last video. I decided to soft cancel it. I didn't see any want for one or any questions, so I just assumed no one wanted to do it. So I'm kind of just moving on with my plans then. Yeah. Anyways, back to the Q&A I referenced. Jarek Williams, he was, Crisis Core. He was the main guy who actually fueled that. He had a bunch of questions for me, and it was just me and him talking. That's why he holds such a place in my heart and in Adam Sushi's longevity. Really, he was the driving force for a little bit and the main inspiration for me making videos. I felt weird, like I was making vids for one person, but the fact that he was always there really, really inspired me. Jarek disappeared as I vanished from the channel for an extended time, and I really forgot about him until I came back through all these, which he was such a big part of the fact that I feel horrible about it. Man, this first year video is very special, since the little recap at the end has files and logos I hadn't seen in a very long time, as well as it ends on a reference to a time of Adam Sushi only I remember. God, I was actually pretty artsy back in the day. And man, do I gotta say that Google is, yeah, a total piece of crap company in a lot of ways, but they do have their moments, and I found an archive, man. I found an archive of every banner and every logo I had ever used for the site, and man, I found some history even I had forgotten about. It was a beautiful moment. Anyways, we now push on to what I consider to be the channel's magnum opus, JSRF Theory Part 1. Well, opus for the time. I lapped it, baby! At the time of this upload, Part 2 has been released, as well as the fan theories, and I've been talking about it nonstop here as well, so it's obviously gotten a lot of press time already. But I'll try to remember the events kind of leading up to it. Okay, I had randomly found Two Worlds Media and was disappointed in the quality of the answers for his JSRF theories and decided to make my own. It was definitely my biggest project at the time, and besides the OG Fan Games video, which I deleted, probably my highest viewed video at the time. It got huge, which made me glad I put in the time to finish the subtitles. A little kid with passion, you know? A wonky mic and a dorky sense of humor had made some really good guesses about the possibility of JSRF being a sequel after all. But with that last JSR video, I would make my final Adam Sushi tale addressing JSR content for the rest of the channel, thank God. This would be the last time I would ever even mention LOJ in any capacity or the death of JSR content. Or so I thought. Spoiler alert, the rest of the Adam Sushi tales are literally just me repeating that same stupid sentiment over and over and over again. Major letdown, and easily the only videos on my channel worth deleting, like genuinely, I cannot stress it enough. Like literally, as I'm writing this, Adam Sushi Tale 3 has the same title as 4, and that's being corrected as this video, but it's like, literally, they were so similar, I even put the same title on both because I couldn't remember which was which, and I obviously didn't even notice till now. But yeah, that's just sadly a small little blemish on the overall reputation of the channel, I guess. Anyway, from there, I finally put out my 666 view special, which was electrictoothbrush.amv for electric toothbrush. Yes. And it's honestly still my favorite AMV to date. It goes so hard, but not a lot of people actually checked it out, which I remember that really kind of hit me when I was a kid. This would become the beginning of Adam Sushi's weakest era. I didn't know it yet, but the channel would go on a huge hiatus after the release of my JSR Evo rant, which was the last video of Adam Sushi Phase 1, 1.0, whatever. Some might remember that I actually made a video ending the channel a while back. Yeah, I remember that. But apparently I was not satisfied and returned to finish the channel proper. Sound familiar? I'm getting ahead of myself though, since I made a Project Inline video about me having fun in the alpha and wanted to kind of get the word out. I actually made a video before that one, but it got deleted because I accidentally added a little face cam block by mistake, which took up most of the screen, which is a shame because I had some really cool tricks from Ophion in there. Anyway, after that little trip through Line City, I made my Let Mom Sleep AMV using sprites from the talented Bye Bye Blue. The AMV is weak. I'm not a good sprite animator. I never was, and the editing as well. It has its charm, air quotes. According to the description, this was the last JSR video I would do before all the amazing LOJ content I was going to show off. Yeah, right. Anyways, we arrived at Adam Sushi Tale 4, and it's actually really somber. I get into why the Let Mom Sleep AMV was rushed. Little nod to Jarek Williams, who had been long gone by this time, and my optimism for college and getting into LOJ. Apparently, I was so hyped to work on LOJ that it started to affect my outlook on the channel. Once again, funny how history repeats itself. I talked about how I would be making, a bunch of new LOJ assets for the channel, but that never went through. However, if you're wondering, the character in my outro is actually the earliest sketch of Jinx, so he's technically always been a part of the channel, one way or another. Once I finished that Adam Sushi tale, it says I did a bump rush of all the bumps I've made, and not released, but it looks like I deleted them all. However, they are all still up on the JSRL YouTube channel if you want to check those out. The bump rush was just a snack that would lead to a full course meal that was Adam Sushi Tale 5, which I knew could only be bad news. Apparently, school was so heavy I couldn't even pretend to work on LOJ anymore. Boo-hoo. It was 2017, I think, so it had to have been junior year for me, and no, junior year. That was 2018, right? Whatever. And things were pretty hectic. The whole no more JSR content gag was getting super stale at this point, and apparently this will be the last Adam Sushi tale in this style due to the overly long render times, and I actually do remember that. Yeah. What a bad note to end on for the tales. My god, they became so boring and stale to the point that even I can't watch them anymore without just being like rolling my eyes. Dang. But hey, I was a man of my word for once and released my 100 subscriber special, the JSR Evo rant. Now we're getting kind of caught up, which to my surprise is actually one of my highest watched videos. It's the last video I made before I ended the channel for the first time, right? Like I said. I actually really liked the little intro where I pretended to talk to someone else, and you could tell I felt very strongly about it, but now JSR Evo is an easily forgotten memory. Skiva Gunna did more with JSR Evo than these guys did. Like, at the time, think about it, BRC was nothing. Not even a dream. Like, BRC, man, it wasn't even like a machination, not even a hypothetical thought. So when Evo basically just kicked the bucket, it really seemed like our one chance at any kind of sequel had just been stomped out, just curb stomped right in front of us, man. Most of my opinions here still hold up very well, actually, except the little blue swine comment. I'm actually a huge Sonic fan, and I've always been one since I was a kid, but it is true that Sega have been neglecting other franchises solely to work with Sonic. So much, in fact, that not only did it lead to devs getting burnt out, but Sonic getting pushed, into worse and worse projects, and the fans losing more and more faith in the blue blur. However, as you all know, Sega did take my advice and actually, stepped away from the series long enough for Sonic Team to just naturally develop and breathe some life into the character with Sonic Frontiers. Like, literally, a project that they're still working on now and are trying to, bring in free updates to add characters, story elements. Like, they're really going all out. You can tell this is a project that not only the fans care about, but the creators have faith in it as well. That's awesome. Sonic really flipped back from his disastrous road, which this was 2017, so I'm probably talking about forces in this video. Which, by the way, just like that video, I managed to somehow segue Sonic into a JSR discussion. You know what I mean? The master of segues out here, freaking Paul Blart. Oh man, I'm actually surprised how well this one holds up. Like, and if I really did end the channel like I said I would back in 2017, 18, whatever, then it wouldn't have, it wouldn't have been that bad of an episode to end on. Well, here's where the story gets interesting. With the release of the JSR Evo rant, I would say au revoir to the classic era of the channel. Phase 1 would end with me making a quick little video about how I wasn't taking school or my dream career seriously, and I had to start putting in more effort. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Also, that video I remember was not quick, it was like 20 minutes long. Oh my gosh. I remember a good friend of mine, the guy who started the contest, in fact, said some really sweet words in the original comment. But yeah, the channel was dead. Yeah, for like 2 seconds. About 4 months later, Season 2 was announced, and my God, was it bad. Starts off with my new logo, which was ugly as heck even back then. My god. That is a logo only a mother could love, and I'm the father, so that thing is ugly. Of all the memorabilia I deleted, somehow that one survived the great purge. Well, purges. Ugh. Dude, it's so embarrassing. Like, oh my gosh, looking at all these sweet little welcome back comments and stuff like that. Because I remember I uploaded absolutely nothing after this. Like, not until October of that year with the sequel to the JSR fan games video, which didn't do well in views because, for good reason, everyone thought I was dead. Because of that, I'm not even going to go over what I said in this announcement because it's all hogwash and pipe dreams now. Sorry to anyone that was actually looking forward to my playthrough of JSRF or anything else. Last thing I'll say on it, some dude left a comment that says he didn't return, and it always makes me laugh. On to the fan games video, though. Part 2 was a step up in every single way from the first one. Not worth deleting the original, but still, it was much more professional, and it really holds up. Like, dude, the transitions between the indies was pretty slick, man, for me at least, and they were quite the highlight looking back. Looking through the comments, the video was an astounding success with the viewers. Even if the view count doesn't show it, I'm glad that people liked it because that's all they be getting for the next 2 years. That's right, I vanished like the Avatar and just pure nothing followed. I got an excuse though. I had started college and fallen into the worst era of social anxiety I had ever been in. Lots of overthinking, lots of mistakes, but between all the heartache and insanity came a light from God. Behold, BRC! BRC, my lord. Yes, more JSR content for your trash channel. And it was written. After a week of not being able to find a quiet place to record, I ended up recording the audio late at night because I just couldn't contain my excitement. Like, my god. It was in my dad's office, and the hard drives were buzzing so loud, plus I was like whispering not to wake up anyone, so the vocals were quite messy. Definitely though, oh man, like, the hype was so tangible. Like, currently, though I'm still patiently patience is a strong word, I kind of stopped caring. But you know, despite the fact that I'm waiting for BRC, I'm not nearly as hyped as I once was just due to delays and just a lack of communication from the devs whatsoever. My god. Still, like, that was the easiest script to pen, and it was, you know, it was the thing that put that last little bit of life back into the channel that I didn't even know it had. Friends from the past and future had shown up after all this time, and it made me realize that they deserve better. Too many failed promises, too many messed up videos, too many deleted pieces of Adam's Sushi history. I decided I was going to end the channel for good. But not without giving the people who stuck by me something special first. I made my last Adam's Sushi tale, recounting all the lost time as well as the future of the channel. Watching this video, I had completely forgotten that COVID was a thing, and just how much it really rocked my plans up. Dude, it's honestly crazy just how much, like, from this update actually happened. It's the only Adam Sushi tale where I actually followed through on everything I said in it. Although some of the promises didn't come out exactly as planned. This is where I announced the channel retrospective that I'm doing right now, as well as laid out the master plan for the rest of the channel. Spoiler alert, this isn't the last update I did for the channel, but in this one I said the same things I would rehash in that last update as the last few videos I would make before archiving this channel. I ended this update invigorated and was ready to create more content, but my next upload wouldn't be until a month after that, when I made a vid to get the word out on New Fist's Kickstarter for Geno Kids. After that, the channel would fall into another hiatus until BRC dropped their second trailer in March. I remember that clear as day. I woke up early because I think they had announced the trailer was going to drop. That or I just got lucky. Anyway, I woke up early that day only to find that the video had been scheduled for noon. But due to some crap I can't explain, I had to drive down to my campus during COVID and steal their Wi-Fi so I could watch it under the guise of doing work. I was wigging out to get enough in complete solitude and silence. I remember looping it with the windows down all the way home and even weirding out my mom as I was rocking out to it. It was obvious what came next. Get Enough was a major earworm, and 30 seconds of song was not gonna cut it. So, actually not even that, more like, what, 26 seconds? I announced a special surprise for my subscribers, which would be an extension to Get Enough. It's currently the highest viewed video on my channel, and for good reason. I absolutely love the Psycho Mantis crap I pulled on my announcement trailer for the song. I got a new editor at the time, which I believe was Premiere Pro, and it had this weird audio effect in it. Rudies were flocking in from all over to check out this edit, and I felt really proud of myself that I was confident enough to make something like this. In fact, someone even made a music video out of it, Pedrin222, I think. Go check that out if you can. Sadly, it wouldn't be the video to bring me back, and I even put out a Friday Night Funkin' meme, as well as my edit to my Get Enough extension before I released my final update. So, no more mess from this point on, is what that was all about. The final update was an announcement that from here on in, I'd be on a new type of grind to get out content, and for once, I'd be a man of my word. I immediately got to work on what I like to see in BRC and remembered having a lot of fun editing it, for the most part. The video was supposed to mark the new style of content I would be creating, but I didn't know what I really wanted that to be, so I just did a bunch of random stuff hoping something would stick. However, I do remember getting a little burnt out in the middle. It does get repetitive seeing the same two videos over and over again. Regardless, the intro is tight, the flow is kinetic, and the overlays as well as vocals were the best the channel had ever seen thus far. It might still be the best. Bro, it even got a thumbs up from the Tim Remmers. Dude, the video was, oh my gosh, man, that blew my freaking mind. The Tim dropped down. It felt kind of weird too, because it made me think, I did make this video. I guess I never actually expected the devs to see it, so when they replied, that was such a weird feeling. I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to, say this here, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, what can you really do about it, you know? Okay, we're kind of getting towards the end zone now, so not much longer. This video was the beginning of an Adam SUSHI renaissance, which sadly needed a bit more time to boil. I went straight from BRC into Ali King, since the series barely had a word said about it by the fans. Listening to the soundtrack made me realize that there's a whole lot of love it should have been getting that it just didn't. So I started looking for info and assets, thinking it would be a quick video, only to find the motherlode. A backup of the official site. After a day of geeking out over literally everything, I got to work on the script, and I remember I actually knocked it out quite fast. At least for me, I was in a rare working mood, but when it came time to edit, fatigue really got me. Finding motivation was really tough, plus I had to re-record the voiceover multiple times because I was personally disappointed. I realized I didn't want any more trash voice takes for the rest of the channel, plus I wanted to give y'all the very best for the end, so I bought a new mic. My Blue Yeti, which has done me proud and was worth every penny. Finally, I had a voiceover I was satisfied with and got to work, but what I wasn't satisfied with was the video itself. I wanted very high quality videos, and I knew I had pushed Vegas to its limits, so I decided to find a powerful editor for a good price and landed on the free version of DaVinci Resolve 17, and I'll admit, I'm kinda sad it didn't work out for me. For one, my PC wasn't powerful enough to run it properly, and two, it was quite cumbersome due to the limited amount of features in the free version, but after a weekend, I got the hang of it. Still, man, it was a powerful piece of hardware, and I would have loved to use the features like that for the longevity of the channel, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. I wouldn't really know that until I got halfway through my Ali King video, which, surprise, was a test video to get more comfortable in the software. I did very well, but halfway through I was bored and dissatisfied since I couldn't properly express my ideas like I could with Vegas. Even if you want to call my videos amateur, they're very meticulously crafted passion projects where I always try to do something unique for each one. I sadly couldn't do that at all, and I really wanted to with DaVinci, but I felt like the videos suffered for it, and because of that, when I got to the game, I decided to do that whole section in Vegas, and I think it really brought back, I don't know, it really brought the video back from its boring little middle dip. Plus, I decided to re-record the later half of the video because I was still dissatisfied with it. These would be the last ever videos I would ever make for you guys, so I wanted to make sure I put in 100% every time, no matter how insane it drove me. That would become a running theme for me, not being satisfied with my vocal performances, because, spoiler alert, I hate my voice, and I do all kinds of processing to get it to an area I'm satisfied with. It was various recording sessions over months of development, plus just being overall uninspired, that led me to consider actually canceling the video, but I'm glad I didn't, since I already canceled a few others. I've really been itching to get into game design, and I wanted to take care of Adam's Sushi first, so I was really torn with completing this video, and that led to me procrastinating on it for quite some time. Sometimes you can't pry me from my computer, and other times I refuse to open it at all. It might help that as I'm writing this, I actually finally have a workstation that allows me to sit up. Yeah, the whole typing with my feet up thing, like I'm Pink Panther-esque, really was just, yeah, not at all good for workflow. Nope. Oh my goodness. I mean, it was certainly better for my back than my current setup is, but, you know, sacrifices have to be made. God, I'm at 9 pages right now for the script. I really hope this isn't super long. Spoiler alert, this is super long. Anyway, even though I personally feel like this is worth viewing, it still sucks just how long it is. Like, that being said, okay, don't worry guys, we are in the end game now, so it won't be much longer. So, as you probably all may know, I set a deadline to end the channel in December of 2021, but obviously that didn't happen, and I would spend all of 2022 trying to take care of everything and end the channel. Still, at the time, I was really pushing for a 2021 finale and was even writing up the Magna Street video during the production phase of Ollie King Part 1. Even though I missed my deadline, there was a silver lining in the fact that I was contacted by the Nash V of Ollie King MP fame. Alright, so he dropped a comment on my channel and said he really enjoyed my video and wanted to collaborate with me for the sequel. I'm really glad we linked it up, since it was hard to find motivation and constantly having someone who was like there, who's also putting time in and looking forward to its completion, that really helped. The video took just as long to make due to both of us kind of getting caught up in life and him having college, me kind of just juggling through jobs, having to deal with all the various frustrations of video editing, but in the end, the video turned out fantastic. I remember starting the project from scratch since I was dissatisfied with the video itself, and at one point in time, it was literally nothing more than a PowerPoint slideshow, like literally just Windows Movie Maker type beat. It was absolutely pathetic. Luckily, after Nash managed to send me all the footage, my tone changed, absolute 360. Like, for starters, Nash had practically given me homework with over 8 to 10 hours of footage to watch and comb through. I don't know how I managed to get through all of it so quickly. I guess I had a system, but, well, quickly to me. I then realized that you guys had never actually seen HD footage of Ollie King before. Like, that was the main draw, and because of that, all I had to do was just let the video be what it was. I took all the translated overlays from the site, and I got to work typing each one with proper colors, font, all that to keep the style intact. It was easily the most tedious part of the video. Very simple, but my god, I really wish there was an easier way of doing all that. There probably was, I just didn't know about, but yeah, man, from that I really started leaning more into my smarter, not harder philosophy when it came to editing and animating, like planning out everything beforehand instead of just kind of like doing it all in the moment, which that has led to some cool videos, but the only problem with that is since I'm not thinking, there are lots of times where I could have done something not only that looked better and was more efficient when I was producing it, but just saved more time overall had I just kind of thought that all through beforehand, little things like that. But for the last couple of videos, I ended up applying that mentality, and they came out rather quickly, like I said, to me. Another cool thing was that this video was actually me trying to show off as much footage as possible without ever using a single clip twice.
which I actually almost did, but sadly some of Nash's playthroughs, he didn't get an X rank, so I couldn't, you know, I had to reuse a clip or two because not every character did every trick like I wanted it to be, but I mean, I'm not complaining or anything, but it was just such a cute little like task I set before myself, which I really almost hit, and I had a lot to work with. Like I said, 8 to 10 hours. But with that, check this. Right, in Ollie King, there are 3 stages, each with a normal and expert version. That combined with 6 different characters, each with 4 alternate costumes, that meant at least 144 variations of clip. Oh yeah, and it was actually really fun, right? Seeing what I could do and just like where to keep the visual monotony to a minimum. I really was just like getting into like my cinematic side in terms of all that. Probably never would have noticed, but just little things that go into the video, you know what I'm saying? These really are just feats of passion here that I try my best to just have everything flow in a cohesive manner. It says this, they're gonna do that, and oh man, I actually do remember something about that video. You probably never would have noticed this either. When the video was up, I really wished that I had put in like when it was showing off the names of like San Francisco, Kyoto, I wish I had the announcer saying the stage names, because I wanted to use as many of the assets as I had. Nash also gave me a bunch of voice clips, which I did use some, but not all. It was a really fun video to do, just trying to get in as much Ollie Kingness as possible. I got a little lazy at some points, which was more so, I'm not really sure how I would do this. Also, time constraints and everything, not trying to have the project run out for another month or so. But in the end, man, it was fantastic. Like, literally the little intro with the press start in my welcome to the world of Ollie King. That was, for me, man. I really, really, like, God, if you guys could have seen the original PowerPoint freaking Disney moving pictures, that was the original video, man. Like, it was such a step up in every single way significantly. So it really felt like some big, giant labor of love that it turned out so well. I mean, I really just wanted it to be special, man. Like, I wanted Sega to see how much we, the fans, cared about their games and franchise. Like, it's extremely unlikely they'll ever see it, I know that, or it'll get a sequel, but that's okay. And it was all worth it in the end, all worth it, like, really. Everyone coming down, people still checking it out, like, maybe one day it'll blow up, but I think what makes it worth it the most is that it's a video I can look back on and say that, yep, that was quality, that's something I'm proud of, and that's something, well, that's a thing in general I've wanted to do with this channel ever since I made it, so. The funniest part was, with all this, man, just, like, the last 2 days, when we were actually, like, doing it, right, we had, you know, Nash was recording the unused animation since I just couldn't do it. I tried my best, and I actually got frustrated, because, my God, I really wanted to, but Bandicam, I don't know how to get good quality out of it, and it was really irking me, because I'm like, I know I'm near the finish line here, but I couldn't get over that hump, and I was actually getting, like, real tilted over it, so he took care of that. And he was also working on the thumbnail, because I'm like, well, you have the models and the assets, and it's a big video and a collab. I'm like, oh, would you mind doing that? And I threw across an idea, which originally, if I got the picture here, it was like, not Nash, it was Grinner holding the board, Ollie King, with all the characters around him. But then Nash came up with the idea of, like, everyone kind of just, like, bossly standing over, which I thought that was really iconic, and I liked it. I really liked it. Yeah, man, like, no one's ever made a thumbnail for me like that before, so my only thing I complain about is it doesn't fit with the rest of the style of thumbnails, right? The little Adam SUSHI overlay I did with the colors, but that's okay. It was a special video. It does help it stand out, but you know me. Like I said, I like consistency, and I like I like consistency. I like cohesion and all that, but all in all, that was awesome. I've always wanted to do a collaboration on this channel, and that was just absolutely great, man. Like, putting it out was easily the most satisfying part, was just getting it all done, having everything all together, like seeing the finished product really just, it makes it feel all the more official. Like, you know, we couldn't, the only thing that really got me was we couldn't really decide when to upload it, and I really didn't want to drag it out, because it was done, it was ready, and for once I felt like we actually were, like, ahead of schedule. So I I said whatever, and he put out a reminder. Literally, he put out a tweet. We're gonna drop it at midnight tonight because we just decided that day to do it. we could have waited a second. We definitely could have waited, but funnily enough, man, there actually were some people who showed up for the midnight drop. It was me, him, a couple others, and of course Sashko, Mr. High Razor, Mr. Hey you, get off my cloud, that guy. Oh man, shoot, I'm sorry. I still got a little head of myself there. My bad. When I came back, I completely forgot. I jumped right into Ali King, but I forgot about Magnistry. Like I said, I was writing that, right? I uploaded all the little Hideki tracks I said I'd upload in part 1, but then I was still writing Magnistry, and I remember the video, it was stupid short, still is, and I was not satisfied with the voiceover, and so I deleted it. I didn't have a quiet space to re-record, and I was really itching to get out my little songs for BRC video. So, I mean, after I found out about Vegas's little 3D capabilities due to the now canceled AMV, I had to try out that little cube thing. I had to try it out, which, man, yeah, I mean, it was worth putting off Magnistry. I'm pretty sure everyone was fine with that. The video would end up being, like, the sexiest on my channel, for sure, and it's still, like, probably my personal favorite. If not, definitely the sequel, but it was originally supposed to be, like, a list of JSR fan songs, and I had completely forgotten about it, honestly, that whole idea. And plus, there were so many this time, I hadn't really kept up with it. I'll tell you right now, I've fallen off. Ironically, I've fallen off JSR. Like, back in the day, it's like, oh, there's no content, but now there's so much content I can't keep up. If I really wanted to, I could probably continue JSR or Adam Sushi forever on JSR content now, but yeah, man, so many great albums, whatever came out. Maybe someone else will take up the mantle and find all the fan games, find all the music, all that stuff, but for me now, I'm letting it be what it is. I'm kind of focused on BRC right now, and not that I don't still love JSR, it's just I'm a very busy dude. I can't really stay up to date with the community like I once did, and there's no real way to. It's just like one day a fan will drop something, hopefully you buy it, hopefully you don't. There's so many JSR indie albums out now that I see all the time that I just forget to really mark and everything, so back to specifically the songs I want to sing in BRC, right? That video was like really good, and it was super successful, which I'm glad because my god, man, the rendering time was so long. That little cube destroyed my PC. I think it was like 4 hours. Because, yeah, I couldn't think of any other intelligent way to do that. And I love 3D, but it's like there must be a faster way to render it. Also combined with the fact that it's Vegas on top of everything else, I'm like, well, I could have overlaid it, but it's like, it's not really going to help me in this situation. You know, like I said, smarter, not harder. I will probably find a solution. However, real talk, it doesn't really matter. It's not like I'm going to be doing any more major videos anyway, but I do like to still work with Vegas on the side. Maybe for fun. Maybe I'll take up some editing somewhere else. Who knows? But anyway, after I finished that video, I had no excuse but to finish Magnistry, which, especially since I didn't have a job at the time, I just left my job of 2 years when I was making that, and I wanted to find something more, man. I felt like, I don't know. I really felt like if I didn't leave, I'd just be there forever. It was one of those kind of jobs. Plus, I was so sick of comparing myself to everyone else and just hating myself every time I was around anybody. I felt so fake in that, like, I truly just didn't fit in there. I mean, I know it's a very petty reason to quit, but my mental health, or at least what's left of it, is absolutely priceless to me. Like, even now at my new job, it's just, man, I don't know. Like, it's a war. I kind of want to just, like, meet more people and be a part of more relationships, but at the same time, I never really feel like I'm making the right steps. I feel like I probably am all in my own head, but at the same time, I'm learning I'm actually not, you know? A lot of people just don't vibe with me, which they don't got to and whatever. But still, man, after a while, it's like, I don't really like messing around with people who I know ain't trying to mess with me, so it's an annoying little push and pull, but that's just a part of life, man. It's something you deal with, but if you don't always hit it off with everyone, that's alright, and that's why I got stuff like this, you know? I still have friends I love talking to, and I still have things I'm working on that I'm proud of. And even if everyone else doesn't get it, you know, I mean, my family loves me, they support me. My boys have always got my back, and I still meet amazing people all the time who are just really just keeping my morale up and saying the sweetest things about me. For every like 100 people I meet, I usually stay connected with like 2 of them. So, you know, better to have a really small circle of people you trust than a really big circle of just really suspect acquaintances that you just, yeah, man. Because they don't care about you, they don't mind abusing you or taking money from you or doing this, that, and the third. And that's the thing. Some people, they really will just. It's so easy for them to just put on a mask and pretend to be your friend to just get this and get that. And for anyone else watching out there, I want y'all to know that like you're valuable and you're special, and I feel like you deserve the best and nothing less. You shouldn't waste your time on people, you know what I mean? Don't ever waste your energy on those who clearly don't deserve it. And don't feel guilty that you're not giving all your time away, because people will just take it. Never forget that at the end of the day, everyone has their own agenda, and that's all they really care about, no matter what they say. So don't feel guilty when you can't assist them on their way, right? Don't be the bridge for someone else's success, you know? Don't let people walk over you to get to where they want to be in life, because when it's all said and done, they'll just let you fall. Like, oh, well, yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with helping out, but don't forget to focus on, you know, your own career and your own path and what you want to be in life. Don't live for other people is what I'm really saying. Anyway, I got lost there. I kind of, yeah, sorry, I drifted there. But speaking of drifting, this is something I do remember pretty fresh. Like I said, I just left my job, and I was like in the biggest slump of my entire life, by far. Like, I didn't want to do anything. I mean, I could have. Wow, shoot! It's like jumping back at me. I wanted to better my life. I wanted to better my life, but I just couldn't seem to put in the effort to do so. I've never been more stagnant, and I constantly wondered, what am I even doing? You know, like, what even is my life? Is there any point to any of this? What certainly didn't help was BRC getting delayed. I remember I was so dead when that announcement came. I honestly should have known better. I mean, when I heard it, I wasn't shocked or flabbergasted. I was more like, of course it was. Of course it was. If you were following every single day like me, you would know that they never update the fans in a reasonable time. Just huge periods of silence. Look, I don't want to dwell on it too long. I will just say this. I'm going to buy it when it drops, but I'm not, like, my legs aren't quivering with anticipation like they once were. My guess is we're going to get, like, one more trailer announcing it, then that's it. Absolute dead silence until the game eventually drops. There's no telling when the trailer will come out. A month before, 3 months, who really knows? I'll be frank, I don't really care. So, ignoring my little tangent, let's get back on track. Had it not been for Nash, honestly, I wouldn't have had the push to like escape my slump, and I somehow managed to finish Ollie King Part 2. When that was done, I felt weirdly inspired to create again. I had ideas of a semi-new style of production that I knew wouldn't last since the channel was ending, and it'd be like my last real chance to try it out. So I put out more music for BRC in like a day. It's the fastest video I ever made on the channel, and it was also the funniest. It combines so many amazing aesthetical qualities that I love, and on top of that, it came out exactly as I saw it in my head. Still though, there was much work to be done. I used this temporary boost of life to jump right into JSRF Theory Part 2. That video was the one. When I initially announced that the last 4, I knew this would be the video that everyone wanted to see. I'd been working on it since the first video dropped all that time ago, and I was finally getting around to it. I knew me. I knew I'd get burnt out, and I tried to tackle the script and voiceover best I could, but I hit an immediate roadblock. I hated the voiceover. This was the worst one by far, and even the final one I wasn't truly pleased with. But I had spent like 3 days doing hour-long takes, probably longer than that. Like, based on this video here, which I would say is a pretty successful run. Barely any flubs, just long because I had to... So much noise, God, like... Man, like, but back to the Ali King voiceover, man. Like, so many mistakes and throwaways. I threw my mattress onto the window out of insanity to, like, stop the outside noise and try to do some acoustic crap. But in the end, it was pointless. I was crunching big time since my application for my job had just come in and I didn't have a lot of time. I knew there'd be tons of long hours at work, so I had to try to finish the video, and dude, it was an absolute challenge. Like, to me, part 2 was the last real video on the channel. Like, I knew the fan theories would be whatever, since no one from the OG vid would ever watch them and they'd be super long. I could be as lazy as I really wanted. I'm not proud of it, but not the main course though. With the main guy, I had to hit it right. I had to end it right, man. It had to be perfect. I made so many assets for that video, almost as many, if not more, than Ali King, and like the Ali King video, I even composed a piece of music for it, so there's that. I wanted it to be epic. That ending was so... The ending was so freaking worth it, man. Like, not only was it satisfying to reach the finish line, but it felt so cinematic, and if I had just died in a car accident that day or the next, I wouldn't mind it being the last video on the channel. I went on a pilgrimage through the 7 rings of hell itself, mentally, stressing over this, and even blew off friends for more time to work. I really wanted people to love it, because if not, God, that would have crushed me. Like, that would have absolutely just destroyed me. But man, let me tell you a quick story. Sashko Naganuma has always been the first guy to comment on my videos since the beginning of the Advanced series, and he usually always says something negative about my content, but for the first time ever, he gave my theory video a thumbs up. Like, wow, that made me happier than it should have. I felt like Kronk when he got that big thumbs up from Poppy. Like, just the stress. I never tried to impress him, and I don't delete comments since I allow everyone to speak freely here on whether they do or do not enjoy my content. Like, I'm a big boy, and I can take it. Like, but it was so unexpected that he would like it that much. Like, when I got that notification, I was genuinely surprised. It honestly made everything so much more worth it. I did a couple of little side projects during Adam Sushi's lifetime, but nothing nearly as cool as the whole, you know what I mean? Like, I say that since I've actually, worked with Sashko in the past, as well as lots of other people, Caps Lock, Nash, even more that those projects haven't really come into fruition yet, but I've gotten work in places you wouldn't believe, and I plan on taking my creative efforts ever forward into the future. Like, ever forward, man. Oh man, this is the end right here. Yeah. I mean, I kind of was just going through what Adam Sushi was and what it is, But I know that this is it. Like, I've had this script in my head for so long, but never had any idea how it would turn out in the end. Like, I kind of wrote this in real time. I made a script out of it. The fan game videos were bad, in my opinion. Personally, I'm kind of like ebbing on the script while kind of jumping off points. I don't want to really be as rigid with this one, since it's more like I'm just talking to y'all, you know what I'm saying? It's got its iffy points, but that's kind of just a me thing. I do run off, but I personally feel like this one, it's more situated. It's not nearly as crazy as the fan theories video, where I'm just like dead and try and not really caring, to be honest. I don't really care that much. But here it's different, man. Like, The stakes are high. I'm kind of just more relaxed, if anything. Hopefully the voiceover doesn't sound like complete trash, but it's my voice, so fingers crossed. Ah, man, how do I even wrap this up, dude? Okay, well, let me think here. Well, as I started this video, I mean, I watched every one, and I feel like in the beginning, my experience watching all my old content, it started off all nostalgic and sweet and cringe, in a cute way. But now it's getting all depressing because we're catching up to my life now, and I'm seeing all my failures like they just happened yesterday. All the mistakes that basically are just with the channel, and like how that's 90% of the channel. We had a good end, but I feel like our best moments are so few and far between. It's such a rocky road to get to finally this smooth, long drive to the finish line. And man, it was certainly a roller coaster to get from here in terms of quality, consistency, and what that's kind of the learning experience that Adam Sushi has been for me as a whole, man. Like, going through my entire career, if you want to call it that. Like for example, I promised to make a track for JSR Forever, if y'all even remember that game before it got canceled. It was called Scratching the Bassline, but I didn't have FL Studio 12 or any other music thing at that time. I ran through so many music programs as a kid, and I could never find one that I liked until I got to FL. But I told them I'd make it, and I just never did, you know. That bugs me, but hey, in 2023, I can try again. I also want to try and arrange a song in Vegas Pro with all of its limitations and crap crashing and everything. Like, but that's gonna be well into the future and literally virtually just an art project for fun I've always wanted to do. Man. Hey, you know what they say, look, no regrets, no failures, only setbacks. Anything I didn't do one day, I will do, and I'll make it right. I've had multiple interruptions, distractions, this, that, and the third-gens. But I'm here now, sitting in the dark, eating Hungry Howie's, and just thinking about the future. Actually, that's a dirty lie. My mind is blank. I don't know what to think. Honestly, F a script, man. Yo, to say it here and now, to anyone who's listening, to those who have subscribed, watched, and followed the channel, I couldn't have done any of this without any of you guys, each and every one of you. Literally. People call this an unhealthy obsession, which it is, but I didn't mind. You're the reason I was obsessed. I was hooked on all of you guys. Like, really. I've never seen myself go so hard for something that others would call so pointless. Really, it must have meant a lot to somebody. It really did to me, for sure, and if, you know, it had a positive impact on your life in any way, Adam Sushi, and all the stuff that happened, I just want to say this. Hopefully you can take up my mantle, you know. You could be the one to do the new JSR stuff, or you could be the one to report on this, but I don't even mean it like that, you know. 8 years is a long time. A very, very long time. So, if you guys have been watching from the sidelines and want to start creating, maybe be a YouTuber yourselves, whatever you feel you want to do it. You are the master of your own destiny. You know your limits and you know your potential. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you can't do or what you can't be. If you put something out and you feel it's the greatest thing that's ever been, it's the greatest thing that's ever been, regardless of what I or anyone else says. Don't ever let, I'm not gonna say haters, feels cheesy, but don't ever let ignorant fools dictate your quality and what you can do and what you put out. If it's real, if it's good, if it's whack, if it's hot, if it's not, whatever. You have to do what you want to the fullest. If you just put your heart and soul into it and put it out, not caring what anyone thinks, it's golden. It's always gonna be golden. And that's what you need to be. You gotta stay that way. 2023, I got a lot of resolutions. For example, finishing this channel by the time you see this, hopefully in 2 days. That's right.
This channel started January 25th, and it's 23rd as I'm recording this. If I can do one last thing right and actually do or fulfill one promise I've made, I'm going to end this on the 25th of 2023. So, by the time you see this, if the 23rd or the 24th, yeah, by the 25th, that last video will be here. The very last one, where I'll talk to y'all for the very last time. I got one more final Adam Sushi broadcast, and if you listened all the way through this one, I love you. You're golden. You're amazing. You're beautiful. You're so freaking beautiful, no matter who you are, inside and out. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you're worth, because they just don't know. They just don't know. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for all that. Thank you all for tuning into this Adam Sushi broadcast. Thank you for always tuning in. And I'll see you at the finish line.